Hi there, Chirag. How are you?
Doing well, Matt. How are you?
Good, good. I'm well, thank you. I was, uh, Thanks for taking the time today. First of all, I was actually just for everyone joining this. I was actually looking at. So we've now been in contact and known each other probably nearly 5 years. Um, uh, in our time in the ecosystem. So just to kind of explain to everyone else. So I've like I say, I've known Chirag in that time, both from a client and a candidate perspective. So I wanted to just have a chat with Chirag and understand. Obviously, he's a specialist in the CPQ world, so it'd be interesting to get his thoughts on that, and yeah, and maybe the different dynamics of how you see things as a client candidate, and also talk about a bit about your business as well, and we can talk about just give everyone an overview of Platform 6 as well. But how are you today, first of all?
Yeah, I'm doing good. The good thing is like we chose Friday to have this conversation, so never can be a good day than Friday. So, TGIF.
Yeah, absolutely. The sun's actually come out unbelievably. Um, so that's a good sign. But you're quite right. So if you just want to explain Chirag Gulati and your background, I think for the viewers here.
Sure. So, I mean, about me, I have been in the Salesforce ecosystem little over 13 years, and I started as a developer admin where like I was just introduced to Salesforce. I didn't know what Salesforce is. I initially thought like back in 2011, 2011, I thought like maybe I'm gonna be a salesperson, joining this Salesforce team,
Yeah,
and I never know like what CRM is, but as I got to know Salesforce, I was like pretty excited from day one. Okay, like this is a cool system, and then
yeah,
when I realized the community that's building up at then, like there were like small developer groups, like people were so passionate about like sharing knowledge, because back in the day there was no trailhead, there was no content out there, like there were not many people talking about what Salesforce is. Like Salesforce had those
yeah,
release guides, which were like 300 400 pages, admin guide, developer guide, so that's how you learn. So, and fast forward today, it's so much evolved. So just amazed to see like where we have come. And
yeah,
like I think 2014 2015, that's when I realized Salesforce is a mile wide now, and there is no way one person can do everything.
yeah,
And then I was doing all exciting stuff about CPQ. So like as I mentioned, like I was excited to know what Salesforce is, and then when I was exposed to CPQ, that was like around 2014. I was just super excited about learning CPQ, and since then I would say just stayed in that lane and been doing like all things Sales Cloud, CPQ, billing. So that's what
yeah.
I've been doing.
So did you deliberately go down that path of CPQ, or was that just pure fluke how it happened?
I would say it was accidental, but the one thing I would wanna mention here is that what got me excited, or like what kept me going, is in this space. We are working with the salespeople, like because like CPQ is the revenue channel, like that's how like it's the sales users are using CPQ to generate codes, to sell their products or services. And believe it or not, like salespeople, they are the hardest person or people like on the planet to please, right?
Yeah,
So, so when we are working with them, when we are working with them, all right, like all they say is like don't let me click here and there, like just tell me how I can close this deal. Don't tell me like I have to even touch the keyboard, just tell me how to generate the code. So it was like, it was, technology is fine, like, platform is fine, but like it was like that, having that people connection, having that understanding, like their need, how we can enable them to sell better, sell more, sell faster. So that was like pretty exciting to me.
Yeah.
And on that note, like, like I said, like, like that's was like, okay, like, this, what I'm doing is actually adding value to the business. What I'm doing
Yeah.
is actually helping them to sell better.
Yeah.
So that, like, the outcome after that project, or any engagement is done. So that kind of excited me, and that, I would say, like, that has been the whole fuel that keeps me going.
Yeah. Because I find it interesting that obviously there's been so many different types of CPQ that have been developed. So whether it's CloudSense or Aptus or
Hmm.
Oracle or Steelbrick that obviously became
Yep.
Salesforce. And so how have you seen? How have you kind of, I don't know, have you seen those, have you used those different products, or have you kind of
Yeah.
just
Yeah, like, when I was first introduced to CPQ, it was not Steelbrick. I actually started with Conga, what they
yeah,
call now, but it was Aptus. So I started with Aptus first, and I probably like did
okay,
2 3 years. Yeah, I was implementing Aptus CPQ, which itself, and then, like, CPQ, like I said, like, sales CRM market was different, so CPQ was pretty new as a concept.
yeah,
Like, on in the Salesforce world, like, there was like Oracle or Big Machine before, but like in the Salesforce world, CPQ was still, I would say, it was not as evolved as what it is today. So there were like so many new things that Aptus was releasing every day, or like, there was like, okay, like, there's new release coming. So it was like, we were learning as we go on the Aptus ecosystem. But right around that time, that's when, like, Steelbrick was, I would say, gaining the traction. And like, I think the buzz in the market was that Salesforce would acquire Aptus, but they did not.
yeah,
They
yeah,
went another route. They acquired
yeah,
Salesforce, Steelbrick, which is Salesforce CPQ now, and that's when, like, the market shifted. And like, that's when I thought, like, it seems to be like Salesforce CPQ is gonna be the next big thing. And like Aptus, they obviously, they found their new friend, Microsoft, but like,
yeah.
here. So I stayed in the Salesforce ecosystem, and since then, like, Aptus and Salesforce CPQ are the two main CPQ platforms or products which I have been working.
Okay. And do you think Salesforce CPQ will kind of evolve in some way, or do you think there'll be another, is another company going to create this brand new product? What's your
That's a really good question. Um, and the Salesforce acquired Steelbrick, probably like 2015, 2016. But they have, like, it still exists as a managed package. Like, it's not still like a platform offering. What they call is, like, like your platform products, which is like Sales Cloud or Service Cloud. And then there's, like, app products, like, which is, whether it's like field service or CPQ, which is like total,
yeah,
uh, managed package based.
yeah,
So after the acquisition, so there has not been much innovation that has been put into the product. It's whatever it was originally. I think there were like few things that were added, but like not substantially change that I can tell, like, which was made in the product offering. So what
yeah,
that happened is, like, customers, they started using CPQ, but like when they start using CPQ, so 1 year, 2 year, 3 year down the line, they understand, right? Like, they now understand CPQ better. Now they want to do more things with the CPQ. They want to make more out of it. But that's when they realize, like, Salesforce CPQ has this limitation, or like, there are, like, some gaps that are there. And what I can tell, like, in last 5 years, I have seen there are like many new CPQ products that are coming into the market, and
right,
that was So that was like, because a lot of people who were in this industry, they were, when they were working with the customer, they found out like there are problems, there are some gaps. So there, like, we can fill in those gaps. So I can tell, like, within 5 years I can count more than 5 products that came
Yeah.
in,
Wow.
and they are doing well. But I think, like, with Salesforce, I'm not saying Salesforce does not know that. Salesforce do know that, and Salesforce themselves, they came up with a new product, which is RLM, or like revenue lifecycle management.
Yeah.
So which essentially is looking like, I haven't really, I can't really do tell much. Like, it's again, like, Salesforce always say safe harbor.
Yeah.
So which essentially, the whole intent is like, RLM product will cater more enterprise level clients, more complicated, more complex use cases, which Salesforce CPQ was not able to fully, like, take care of those use cases. So Salesforce CPQ, the way I got to know, or I got the response, is that it's gonna stay at least for foreseeable future.
Yeah.
But RLM will take care of like more complex, more sophisticated use cases. So RLM,
Okay.
I'm really looking forward to that product, like how that would turn out into the market, because there are like many industries, whether it's manufacturing, or like, healthcare, or like, where they have very sophisticated use cases. So the
Yeah.
whole steel brick product, or steel brick as a package, was initially, when it was developed, is like for handling like a subscription. So it works well like in the subscription based products, or subscription based like SaaS vertical. But like, when there are like, more different use cases, whether it's like, order management, or a book of material, or like, especially like, when it comes to like very sophisticated billing. So that's where like
Yeah.
there were like several limitation, and I think RLM will take care of those issues.
Okay. Okay. That's interesting. Because I always find it's you hear a lot of these new products that come about, and but then do they, certainly from a recruitment perspective, sometimes they don't seem to translate into, roles in the future, and
Mhm.
you don't see positions created for RLM, and
Right.
so do you think that will happen?
I don't think that would happen immediately, but down the line, what I can think of is like, it would be something like, if I have to hire somebody, or like if I would have to create that job description going into like 2 years into the future, I would
Yeah.
write as like somebody who has good knowledge of Salesforce platform, knows like overall like code to cash, not necessarily
Yeah.
whether it's like, Salesforce CPQ or like Konga CPQ, but like somebody who has some industry knowledge. So like, it would be like, mix of everything. It would not be like, product
Okay.
specific, like somebody knows RLM. It would be more of like, like I said, uh, like overall, whether it's the platform and the vertical. So I would say like, that's how it would be.
Okay. Okay. Um, and I suppose brings us on to, because I'd certainly say from a CPQ perspective, where um, we're certainly seeing a quieter time in that space, from a recruitment perspective, in terms of the activity around it. Do you see that as well from a from your perspective?
So recruitment perspective, like, changes into the market is.
Yeah, and so the CPQ as a whole, do you
Mhm.
because Salesforce in recruitment, has gone through a bit of a turbulent time. So do you
Right.
do you see the same in CPQ?
So y- I would say there definitely has been a slowdown. Like, everybody knows that, everybody feels that. But like I mentioned, like, CPQ is that like where it impacts the revenue of the company, right? Like, if CPQ is
Yeah.
not working well, or like, the that system or that platform where like the sellers or like salespeople are not able to sell. So
Yeah.
that's very crucial. So
Okay.
most of the clients we have been working with lately are, they are not looking at like net new initiatives. So they are only like wherever like there is a hard pressing issue, so they want to address that first. What that means is like, there is still demand for, as a like resources or like somebody who knows CPQ. There is still, they need people to manage that CPQ, but that means like only those areas like where it needs like the most attention. Like
Yeah.
2 years ago, every company has like enough budget where they want to take initiative and like start those new implementation of CPQ. I mean, that's unfortunately that's not the case right now.
Yeah.
That's one thing definitely I would say plays factor is the economy, but also like I mentioned, like with the new release of Salesforce, which Salesforce announced like the RLM product a couple of months ago. So most of companies, they were not sure like whether they should invest in their current system, Salesforce CPQ, or they should wait what Salesforce has to offer new as a new product offering, and what that would mean, whether it would be a direct upgrade, whether it would be like two different product lines. So all those questions were coming always in the discussion whenever like I was in front of the client. They were
Yeah.
asking me those questions, and like I don't have those answers unfortunately, but I think
Come on, Chirag. Come on.
but yeah. Yeah, but like there are more questions at the moment in the market than answers, and I think like
Yeah.
only few people can answer those questions. So,
Yeah.
but I think it's more of like about the time. We just need to give it some time. But like to you answer your question, recruitment side, like yes, it has been a slowdown, but where there is a need, it's more for like who is like super experienced, very specific use case. So like I remember like a couple of weeks when we were working on a position, so it was like very specific use case that the client, they want somebody who knows billing as well as somebody who can do code.
Yeah.
Like
That's right.
it's they need somebody who can like who is not reluctant in terms of rolling up the sleeves and write code, whether it's Apex or LWC, but as well as like they know this billing piece. So in general, if I would be hiring or I would be looking at that project a couple of years ago, so those would be two different positions. Like they need a Salesforce
Yeah.
developer or a technical architect, and they need a billing architect. But in this case, like because there was like limited budget, or like they were like looking to only sole particular use case. So they were looking, the client was looking for if we can find that unicorn. So those are, I think, like from a recruitment standpoint, like those are challenging
Yeah. Yeah.
positions to fill, but not necessarily like those are those kind of people or skill set is not there. It's just that like only handful people are there like who can do both.
Okay. And obviously from a platform six point of view, we've been in touch for, like I say, going back 5 years now, maybe longer.
Hmm. Yeah.
Which has been great, and it's always interesting in the Salesforce space and the other markets we service now and that we operate in. But you kind of find that you kind of one year you're a client, one year you're a candidate, then you're bumping into these people at whatever the Dreamforce or the knowledge base or the summits or the world tours or whatever. So it's all kind of interlinked, which I suppose is the community we're all in. But and how from as you as a client, how have you found working with ourselves before?
Yeah, I mean, like for us, like I think like I started exactly 1 year ago. I don't remember exact date, but like I think it was like March 11th or March 12th.
Yeah,
So it's almost 1 year. And to be honest, like when I started, like it was like it was that time as Salesforce announced those layoffs. Like a lot of companies announced those layoffs,
yeah,
and like I was not sure whether this is the right time to start something as like start a company. And but the one thing that I realized is that like to start your own company, you need to get out of your comfort zone. And what market was doing, or like those circumstances were doing, is like there was no job security,
Yeah,
and there was no comfort. So technically the market was doing that for me. Like they were kicking me out of that comfort zone, and like I just took that like in a like a optimist way, that all right, like I'm not comfortable, and like that's all I need. Like I need to be get out of that comfort zone. So I started that, and like there were no plans in terms of like how where that pipeline would be, like how I would start finding my first client, to like to I think 7 or 8 clients which we have worked so far
yeah,
in the last 1 year.
yeah,
But I think what has been blissful, or like I feel blessed, is like you mentioned, all those events, all those community based community driven connection. So I think that that network has been so helpful, that we have not done any formal marketing or outbound outreach, anything like that. But we have
yeah,
been super busy, and most of the work has been coming through our network, word of mouth, referrals. And I think like that's the best marketing, or that's the best channel for any business. And that's
yeah,
and having said that, I think it's so hard when you are new to say no to work. And believe it or not, like I have said no, that we don't want to take on this work. And
yeah,
reason for that is not like we are super busy. Reason was like I think that work was not super fit in terms of, because and like what I have been telling my team is like from last most of the projects what we do is like quote unquote rescue projects.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
like
yeah,
I want to see that like whatever we are doing at the end, we want to make sure like we are leaving that dent in the space, and making sure there is value added. And it's not like we are just there to fill somebody's shoe, but like we want to make sure like it's a value driven or outcome based consulting. It's not just like where we are just charging by hourly, or like whatever rate,
yeah.
like a SOW based. It's we want to make sure there is an truly tangible outcome that we can talk about.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting point you make because you kind of, as a having set up Platform 6 7 years ago now, you have to stick to your beliefs, I think, as a business. So and and in the same sort of scenario, we've had many clients ask us to fill various different jobs, but we've always tried to stay in clear market and verticals, and deliver in Salesforce and in ServiceNow and in AI and digital transformation. They're really our core areas, and I think that has, certainly from our perspective, has always given us the ability to react quickly to people's needs, because as you say, you're part of a community, and therefore you're invested in that community. And I've certainly found that it's sometimes difficult when people are throwing business at you, but it's not always good business,
Hmm.
that's it's kind of, there is, so I suppose every business is different, every company is different, and every leader of a business is different, but it's kind of, I've just kind of felt that you got to stick to your principles a little bit, and stick to what you think is the right marketplace to operate in, and therefore and value what you do.
Right.
So is that how you see it?
100%. 100%. Yes. I think, like I said, like 2023, where like we had no benchmark, or like, any
Yeah,
parameters to match on. But 2024 is what we are looking for now. We have some benchmark. All right, like this is what we have achieved. So 2024 is we want to go or grow from here.
yeah,
But the one thing that I have been like everything is revolving around like what you mentioned is the belief, like that the value that we want to carry,
Yeah.
because we are small, we are nimble, but we are not looking to grow super fast. We want to like provide like that value. We want to like, it's fine like if we are having that slow growth, but if it's the right type of customers, right type of people around, I think I value quality over quantity. So I think that's
Yeah.
that's the value I want to carry at least for next 3 to 5 years.
Yeah. And how have you found it? Because you've been in since in our working relationship, you've been a potential client to work with, but you've also been on the other side of the fence, many years ago. So how have you found that? Do you find that there's any different in that dynamic with when you deal with people?
No, I think like from like our relationship with platform 6 or with you, I think what I have feel as a recruitment, it's somebody who understands the requirement, not just like where like if you are coming in and saying like, okay, give me the job description and I'll find a person, just using those keywords. It's
Yeah.
not necessarily like as simple as that it may sound. I think like it's more than like where you come in and ask question, okay, like you are looking to hire a CPQ architect, but what do you expect from that architect? Like, do you want that architect to be hands-on? Do you want that architect to be more functional? Like, do you require that person to know like this industry? Are you expecting that person to manage a team? So there's
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
different dimensions that as a recruiter, like they would need to understand and like match that mindset first, then you match that skill set. So
Yeah.
I think like that's what I have seen while working with you, whether as a candidate or as a client. Like whenever we have talked about, okay, like like when we were working as like I was a candidate and like you will bring me a position. So I think you understand what I'm looking for,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
think you will I always heard you saying like this is a good fit for you, right? This is a great position that you would like. Like even we talk about what is a job description. I don't even remember, like we haven't gone through the job description. Most of the time whenever you called me is like, all right, like I have this great position, they are looking for they have a CPQ requirement,
Yeah.
and are you in the market, or do you have a bandwidth? We never talked about like what that job description is. Like that was like one side of it, like when we were candidate, but when we were working as a like we as I was the client, and like you were helping me with the recruitment. I
Yeah.
think it was the same discussion, maybe different words, but same discussion. Like, okay, so do you never ask like, do you have a job description? You ask me questions, or like what kind of person would be able to fill this role, and then
Yeah.
like I just tell you, and then I don't think like you needed that formal job description. So
Yeah.
it was like I
Yeah.
said, like it was not revolving around job description. It was more about like how to find that right match.
Yeah. I think it's interesting because I think one of the things that whether it's the Salesforce market or whether it's ServiceNow market, I think one of the interesting things is that job descriptions actually generally are pretty poor.
Hmm.
They're not very good across. I don't know how you found it from your perspective working with your clients, but the information we sometimes get is actually not great at all. So
Yeah.
so I find that what you learn better is actually once you build a relationship with a client, and they start to talk you through the more interesting bits around what makes it different, and why are they a good company to come and work for, why do people want to work there, what training do they bring to people, or if it's contract, what benefits is that contractor going to learn by coming into that environment,
Right.
or I don't know. It just there's lots of things like that, because the specs you do get sometimes can be
Hmm.
about 3 or 4 lines long, you know
Right.
and it's
Yep.
like how you how are you supposed to use that in order to find the right people? So I just find that the additional questions that you ask around it and the subtle points behind it, and hearing from clients as to exactly what would make them happy for someone walking in the door, is quite often
Right.
the best thing about it. Because if you just took a job spec, you'd probably be sitting there scratching your head for the next 3 months.
Absolutely.
So do you find that from your side?
Yeah. No, yes, 100%. Yes. That's exactly like, I mean, you can, so if I can go in and type in, chat GPT, create a job description for a CPQ architect, like I'm like, I'll get that job description. But like, will that job description help me find the right person? Right? Maybe not, because
Yeah,
that job description could be so generic that everybody out there, like who has done one project of CPQ, they might call themselves CPQ specialist,
yeah,
right? And in that case, like, I think as a recruiter, you would know like that person is a good fit or not.
yeah,
Like job description might not be able to do that right match thing. It's the person, like as a recruiter you would know, like, so
yeah,
definitely like it's not, it's more than a job description. And then like for us, like I mentioned, like I come across lot many people who say they have CPQ knowledge or they are CPQ specialists. And when we talk about like, how many projects have you done, or like, I have done formal training, or like I have done Trailhead, I have done, some online course on
yeah,
Udemy or wherever, right? And I know CPQ, I know the core concepts, like I know theoretically what CPQ is, but that does not help because it's the real world, it's different. And when you come across those complex use cases, it's like the online courses or Trailhead knowledge is not sufficient. So
no,
like having that right match is like I think it's just more of like that comes with the experience, that comes with like having that connection in terms of that relationship, like what that as a client what I'm looking for, or as a candidate, like what I can bring to the table.
yeah. Do you find the attitude towards certifications and trailheads and has changed at all in the market? Because I can probably say a few years ago, it was all about the certifications and the trailhead, and and I don't know. I kind of get the sense that people's attitudes to that is changed a bit.
It's definitely changed. I think like when Trailhead was released, it was so new, and it
Yeah,
was so
yeah,
easy to get those trails and get that dopamine kick. All right, like I got like 500 badges on Trailhead. I got like 1,000 badges.
wow,
So I think
yeah,
like it feeds your dopamine, but like it doesn't mean that whatever like knowledge that you got from Trailhead, uh, you can carry those 1,000 badges knowledge with you without working on a project. So
yeah,
you know
yeah,
so so I think it helps you to get you involved. It gives that accountability, it gives that like I said, like when you prepare for something, it's a good knowledge check. But
yeah,
what you're learning on Trailhead is only maybe like 20% of what that topic is. So when you are getting that badge, so that means like 20% of that topic. And then like if you are certification, maybe that add like 5-10% more, but you are still like 20-30% knowledge. You just have like 20-30% knowledge of that topic. Rest 70-80% is on it, like actually working on the project. And if you
yeah,
have not
yeah,
worked on a project, so you cannot call yourself that you know everything about that particular, whether it's a cloud, whether it's a vertical or industry. It just like I said, like it's 70-80% is what you will actually learn on working on that project.
okay, okay. Cool. And tell us about Rev Solutions then, your business. Tell us, give us a summary of that business and your plans there.
Yeah, so we pretty much doing the same thing, being Salesforce consultant or consulting partner. We are working with clients and helping them mostly the sales cloud or the revenue cloud, which entails CPQ, billing, subscription management, contract management, all those projects or like implementations. Mostly, like I said, like we are not generic in terms of that we don't say that we do everything. We only say like we do only specific projects which are like sales cloud or like front operation or code to cash
Yeah.
projects. And like not that like we don't have the aptitude to do other projects. It's just that like I think it's mostly we are focused, or let me put it this way, that the most complex problem we solve are in the sales cloud and the revenue cloud space. So we want to
Right.
just
Okay.
at least be there to give that value back to the customer, because a lot of times we are seeing that a lot of customers, they are left hung and dry because they cannot manage their systems by themselves. There are like
Yeah.
not really enough resources who can really manage those systems. And like I mentioned, like if it's not working, it's impacting their revenue. So we want to make sure that we are that seal commandos. We come in and like fix those things and get things going like pretty quick.
Is that quite a competitive marketplace to be to operate in, to to get business? I mean, obviously Chirag, Gulati, amazing knowledge, and it's you lead that business. So is it challenging to kind of be super successful in that marketplace?
It is. I won't deny that. Like partner ecosystem, like Salesforce partner ecosystem, it's pretty competitive. I would say like 10 years ago, if we have to work with Salesforce as a partner, Salesforce would treat us differently, meaning
Yeah.
because they
Yeah.
would they would need more partners. But I think like there is plenty of partners in the market right now. Uh, like I don't know the number, but like I'm pretty sure like it's in thousands, and like just in the
Wow.
US geography. And like with that, what happens is like you work with the AE, and like you help them sell their licenses, and like as a partner you come in where you help with the implementation or like actually
Yeah.
making those licenses work, right? But an AE now, they would have more than 3 or 4 partners to choose from. Like how you
Yeah.
differentiate and how you can say like, all right, like we are providing the value. Are you saying that like if we are the cheapest? Maybe like that's not what the client is looking for. They
Yeah.
are
Yeah. Yeah.
looking not
Yeah.
for the cheapest, they are looking for the best. And how you say like you are the best, like it's based on the knowledge, based on the track record, based on the success rate. And like I mentioned, like we want to, when we are coming in there, like we want to make sure like it's outcome based, like where we can actually talk about, all right, like with us involved in uh like whether it's you, for example, like if you already have a CPQ system, uh like you were spending an hour to create a code because there were like so many manual steps. We came in, like we added some automation. Now it's it reduced that code cycle to 30 minutes. So like if you
Yeah.
add
Yeah.
that like
Yeah.
30 minutes, and if there are like if you are doing like 100 codes, right? So that 30 minutes type 100 codes. And if you have like 50 reps, they are generating those codes. So like we saved like these many hours. So like we want to like quantify it, that all right, like we saved you like I don't know, like maybe like hundreds of hours per week. And that the sales rep can more focus on selling more and selling better.
Okay. Cool. Well, I'm glad it's going well for you. And yeah, it's great to see. And yeah, if I look forward to speaking to you again soon. Thanks ever so much for your time today. It's It's been a pleasure as usual, Chirag.
Yep, likewise. And thank you for having this conversation. Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to work with you, always a pleasure to talk to you, and we'll talk soon.
Cool. All right.
Right.
Take care of
Yeah.
yourself.
Thank you. Yep. Yep. Bye.
See you, Chirag. Bye-bye. Bye.